Instagram stories for churches is the topic of conversation for today, and a friend of mine posted something on stories the other day, and I really like how he said it. This is from Nick Goodner of Creative Church. He said, there's really only two types of social media posts: interactive content and non-interactive content. And I really do like that turn of phrase because at its best, social is about connecting people with other people. And let's face it, it's not always easy to do that. In fact, rarely is it easy. But when it comes to creating interactions, the platform that is still tailor-made for this more than any other is Instagram Stories. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through a number of my favorite stories strategies for churches. And what's great about each of these techniques that you're about to learn is that they're not one-off post ideas, but they're repeatable frameworks. So you can return to these frequently, again and again, over and over. They also don't require any design skills on your part because the foundation for each of them are the tools that Instagram makes freely available to you in the Stories engine. And if that's not enough, we've also put together step-by-step PDF guides for each technique linked in the description below that you can download free of charge. So let's dive in. Well, hey there, I'm Brady Shearer. This is Pro Church Tools. We're here to help your church navigate the biggest communication shift in 500 years. If you are new, consider subscribing. If you are a regular, here for every video, #teamearly, make sure to hit the little church bell and turn on notifications. Let's begin with strategy number one, the slider. This technique begins with a question like, how was your weekend? And then uses the Stories slider element as the measuring stick for the response. Simple enough. The extra step though that really makes this framework interactive is to annotate the slider in different increments to indicate different responses. This basically turns the slider into a multiple choice mechanism. So in this example, we've got 4 different responses to the question, how was your weekend? Pretty bad actually, could you pray for me? Average, pretty good, and church was my highlight. And let me show you how to create this really quick before revealing the final step of this technique. First, in the Stories engine, open the Create tab and click the sticker icon at the top of the screen. And here you'll find all of your different Create elements. The one that you want to click on is the slider. Leave the question area blank and position your slider to the center of the screen. Next, click on the pen tool and draw out 4 lines, equally spaced along the slider. And now, using the text tool, write in your individual answers and align them with each of your pen lines. And finally, in the text tool again, write out your main question and put it above the slider, and that's how it's done. Now, there's one very important final step that you cannot overlook, and that is follow-up. Because remember, the goal here is to create interactions. And the slider on its own will do a great job of this, but we can do more. So here's my recommendation for you. Monitor the responses that you're getting, and when someone responds by putting the slider on the pretty bad actually, could you pray for me mark, reach out through Instagram DM, and you can say something like this. Feel free to copy this verbatim if you'd like. Hey first name, thanks for your response. I just want you to know that I'm praying for you right now, and if you want to share more, please don't hesitate. I'm here to listen. So keep it short and sweet, but the key here isn't to pry. Make this person know that you're available if they want to share more, but if not, that's totally okay. You'll be praying for them either way. And now, pay attention to this because what we have is a simple Instagram story that has become an avenue for pastoral care. You know, most of the time, people are not gonna go out of their way to ask for help or to let you know that they're hurting. This technique is a great way to make people feel comfortable in responding and create opportunities for meaningful interactions and stronger connections in your church. Plus, there's gonna be plenty of people that respond further along the slider. You're not gonna reach out through DM to them individually, but those are also data points that the algorithm is paying attention to, making it more likely people will see your stories in the future and creating habits in your own audience, encouraging them to interact with the content you publish. And remember, this is just one question and one potential way you can use the slider strategy because it's meant to be a framework that you can use repeatedly. So for example, you could draw two opposing opinions on either side of the slider and let the responses hash it out like a tug of war, seeing which side of the slider the church is leaning to. So for example, imagine your church is hosting a barbecue or some kind of shared church meal. Well, the day before, you could do a series of these stories back to back, make them all food related. Hot dog or hamburger, pineapple on pizza, delicious or awful. And then on the story that follows, put a reminder for the church family meal that's happening tomorrow. And now it's top of mind for your congregation. Let's move on to strategy number 2. And remember, each of these is listed below in the description in PDF format so you can download and save for future reference. Strategy number 2, the quiz. What we do with this technique is we use the quiz element in the Stories engine to create a series of trivia questions. And these can be related to biblical literacy, church history, even perhaps the biblical text that was preached about last Sunday or the prospective biblical text for the upcoming Sunday. And again, to make this easier for you, because we know how overworked most folks are that oversee social in their churches, we've put together a Google Doc with dozens of different questions already in there for you to get started, so you don't have to come up with any of the content on your own. That's in the description. So let's use that doc as a reference, and I'll show you how to create these quizzes. Now, I'd say the sweet spot here is to do at least 3 different quiz questions back to back to back. So let's start by, again, navigating to our Create tab in the Stories engine, clicking on our sticker icon, and this time we'll click on the quiz element. Also, as a side note, this is how the Stories interface currently looks to me on my iPhone. These things do get changed pretty often, so if you're watching this at a later date or on a different kind of device and the interface is different, I do apologize. Next, we'll enter the question into the top of our quiz. What was the first miracle Jesus performed? And populate our 3 different answers: changing water into wine, healing leprosy, calming a storm. Make sure changing water into wine is selected as our correct answer, and we're done. Now, repeat that 2 or more times using other questions from the doc. Now, I will say, the more personal you can make these quiz questions to your church, the better. There's nothing wrong with using our pre-made questions to get you started. That's why we put them together for you. But if you can create questions specific to the text you're preaching out of on Sunday, it's that much more powerful. Or trivia, for instance, about your own church is great. For example, what was the date your pastor started at your church? Or what day is your pastor's birthday? Or how much money did the students raise for their mission fund last year at the car wash fundraiser? Generic is totally fine. Promoting biblical literacy is totally fine, but making it personal to your own church can be even better. Now, with all of these techniques, we're using the features that Instagram is making available to us in their Stories engine. But one way that you can inject a little more creativity and dynamics into these is to use custom backgrounds. So for example, in our quiz stories, we could use the colored backgrounds that Instagram provides, or we could do something a little more topical. So in the Nucleus Media search engine, I'll use the keyword Bible and download a few of the clips from the ancient scriptures scene. Now I'm gonna make sure to select the 1080p H.264 graded versions here to keep the file sizes smaller, and then I'll airdrop them from my desktop to my phone. You can also download them directly to your mobile device if you prefer. And now, before I head to the Create tab to start building my quiz or adding my slider, I'm gonna upload the video from my camera roll to be my background. And this is just another way to elevate your Instagram stories on the visual side. Another option would be to use the same worship backgrounds that you're planning to use on Sunday as the backgrounds of your story. So here I'm browsing the Nucleus Media worship backgrounds. I'm gonna download this motion that I really like from the Above the Clouds scene to use as the background for my quiz. Maybe download a couple more from the same scene to keep that visual look consistent. If you want to start your free trial of Nucleus Media, there's no credit card required, and you can head to nucleus.church/media to learn more. That link is also in the description. Let's move to strategy number 3, the question. And no, this has nothing to do with Emery's breakout sophomore album. Shouts to all the early 2000 emo Christian youths. Here, we're asking an irresistible question using the Instagram Stories question sticker, and we've got another doc included for you in the description below because I'm just feeling especially generous today. And in that doc are 39 different questions that we've tested and are proven to generate engagement. So again, you don't even need to come up with any brilliant ideas for yourself. We've got you covered. To create this story, I'll start with my background. I've got a worship scene here. Next, I'll go to Create, Stickers icon, select the question sticker, type in my question. I'm using the first one here from the doc we're including for you. What's a worship song that has helped you feel closer to God? And that's it, click publish. Now, unlike the quiz strategy where you want to include a number of questions, one after another, don't do that with these engagement questions. You really want a single question to stand on its own. What you can do though is as you get responses, you share those to the story. You can then push it a step further and even create a playlist out of the songs that you get in the responses and then share that new playlist to the story. And this is very important. If you're worried about not getting enough responses or not getting any responses, this is where the leadership of your church, not necessarily even your senior leadership, but volunteers, staff, whatever, can help play an active role in building momentum for the social media ministry. So to get the ball rolling, it's okay to respond to this question yourself from your own personal account, even a couple of times, because you can share those anonymously, or explicitly ask your colleagues or volunteers to participate in responding as well, and then share the answers you get back to the story from them, which will then spur on even more people responding. Now, I'll share something I've only shared a couple of times before here. When I first started Pro Church Tools about 8 years ago, our biggest focus was blogging in those early days. And the only person really reading my blogs was also the person that was proofreading them, my mom. And back then, one of the metrics that was so important to us was blog comments, because if you landed on a blog post and it had 0 comments, it would just look like a ghost town. And why would anyone trust you as an author? No one's even listening to you. So what my mom would do is create a couple of different pseudonyms and comment as those people on my posts, and I would respond to her. And guess what happened? Once people saw that the comments weren't empty, because no one wants to respond first, comments began to come in. And eventually, my mom didn't even need to comment anymore at all because our audience was now used to interacting with our posts. And sadly, my mom isn't with us anymore. She passed after a long battle with cancer a couple of years ago. She was 54. Miss you, Mom. But that initial work that her and I did was really the foundation for the highly interactive audience-creator relationship that we have now at my organization between, you and me. We all start at that same place though, with little to no interactions. And if you need to lean on other people in your church to get that ball rolling, it's okay. Because often, people just need the permission to interact. No one wants to go first, right? But once that ice is broken, you can start to get the ball rolling. And this is one of the places where churches as organizations have distinct advantages, because we are not solo creators like most people are online. We're part of a church family. So you can lean into your fellow volunteers and fellow staff members to help jumpstart engagement. Moving on to strategy number 4, the poll. We begin this by asking a simple yes or no question. So here our example is, have you felt loved by God this week? We then follow this slide up with a question sticker that reads, if you answered no, would you tell us why? And we add a very important disclaimer that all responses will be confidential. Finally, we follow that slide up with a third slide. This one says, if you're struggling with feeling God's love this week, here's an encouraging Bible verse to read aloud, Psalm 139 or any other verse you feel is appropriate. Another option, instead of the scripture verse, would be to break out the music sticker in the Create tab, first time we've used that one today, and choose a song that could lead someone to sensing God's love. So here I'm gonna go with The Father's House, because that one, for me, always makes me feel close to God. And again, what we have here is basically a 3-step process for a stories technique. It starts with identifying a universal pain point, meaning a problem in life that is very familiar to all of us. So in this case, a lack of love. And we frame that universal pain point as a question. Have you felt God's love this week? And then we provide a follow-up, first in the form of a real person. Want to talk about it? Shoot us a response, and we'll keep it confidential. So that's an avenue for pastoral care and personal connection. And then a second follow-up encouraging individual spiritual practice. Not in the mood to talk to someone right now? That's totally fine. Here's an encouraging scripture verse to meditate on and remind yourself of God's love, even if you aren't feeling it today. Or here's an encouraging worship track that takes the truths of scripture, wraps it in song. And so again, We're using Instagram stories as an on-ramp for meaningful ministry and personal connection in your church. And when social is at its best, this is what it can look like. And for this strategy in particular, there are endless ways to kick it off. So again, let's use that universal pain point springboard. Feeling anxious today? Have you worried about the future at all this week? Do you ever struggle with feeling distant from God? Honestly, an unlimited supply of potential ideas here. And you can keep it topical as well, according to whatever sermon series you're in at the time. And then one more additional tip for you, if you are a Nucleus Media user, you'll notice that the social posts we deliver to you are always in aspect ratios of 4:5 or 1:1, meaning we design our posts for the feed, not for stories. And that's because we want to encourage you to use the baked in elements of Instagram stories. Those are going to be more useful for driving engagement. That being said, if you're ever looking for more ideas on how to use these frameworks that I just taught you, because remember, these aren't one-off ideas, they're meant to be used again and again, you can go to your Nucleus Media library and type in the word question, let's say, and you can find some inspiration. So for example, this post that I see is, what's the ideal temperature in your home? Now, when I see that, my immediate thought is, well, that would be perfect for our first strategy, the slider, because I could set the slider to, let's say, 65 degrees on one side and 75 degrees on the other side, and then people could slide where they like to keep their home at in terms of temp. Or this one, what's a food you hated as an adult but loved as a kid? Okay, so that would be perfect for the question sticker in stories, and then you could share all of the fun responses. And my answer to this would be white sauce on pasta. I had an issue with milk as a kid. Like if I didn't see the milk get poured with my own 2 eyes, I wouldn't drink it because it might not be ice cold from the fridge. And that, carried over to any milk or cream-based sauces like Alfredo sauce. Anyway, I'm over that now as an adult. Thank the Lord. The point I'm making here is that I don't want you to just see these techniques as standalone ideas. These are frameworks that you can use frequently as a social media creator. Tuck these away in your bag of tricks. And if you need even more ideas, Nucleus Media is where to get them. Unlimited creative church resources, more than 30,000 creative assets from social posts to stock footage, to templates, worship backgrounds, and more. Nucleus.church/media is the link. And in the description below, you'll find every download we mentioned. Each of these strategies, again, documented step by step in a PDF download. And the Google Docs mentioned for the list of engagement questions and quiz questions also. And so my only remaining ask of you is, if you're still here, to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, because I've given you so many free downloads on this video, more than normal. I think that deserves some love in the form of a like. Thanks for watching, as always. We'll talk soon.